So we've got West Palm Beach coming in, Missouri, Montreal, Quebec, Nebraska. I told you, all over logging in. Okay, I'm super excited to be here. And this is actually super rare for me to, to mix the two worlds that I'm part of into one series. And I'm just so excited that I've collaborated and that we've collaborated together with Molly and Sabrina. If you missed last week's first video of our Wellness Wednesday series, I highly encourage you to go back to that video because we do share a little bit more about our journeys with our wellness business with Arbonne. And, one of the things that I'm deeply passionate about, and I know that Molly's on here too, and she's deeply passionate about the same thing, is really about the subconscious mind and how every thought is a limiting belief. So I thought, you know what? Part of our Wellness Wednesday series, I'm going to do something and I'm going to mix both of my neuro-linguistic world and my Arbonne business because I'm a proud independent consultant with Arbonne now for over 13 years. I'm going to be celebrating 14 years having said yes to Arbonne next month on the 31st of August, 2011. I said yes to this business. And what I've realized along the way is that every thought is a limiting belief. Okay. So people will go, well, how is that even possible? I'm like, even Bill Gates, with all of his money and all of his wealth, he is still limited in his mindset in terms of what he has and what he wants to create because every single thought that we ever have is a limiting belief. Okay. And what I didn't realize up until I started working on myself and wanting more out of my life was that everything I did was pretty much on autopilot. And everything that we all do, whether what we think, what we do, what we don't do, it's all 95% of it is based on our subconscious mind. And so today I'm going to be talking a little bit more about how, the beliefs that we have are actually not even our own beliefs. They're actually part of a programming. And that's what I've come to find out for myself because for so long, and I know many of you might be logging in here as a guest. And I promise you that whether an Arbonne business or not speaks to you, that you are going to leave here with knowing different knowledge and how to apply this to any sphere of your life and how to really kick limiting beliefs out of the way and start really living an empowered life. Because your beliefs and your actions, your results, they don't come from logic. They actually come from programming. So every single thing that you think about, the way that you eat, the way you work out, your work ethic, the way you handle your money, the way you see opportunities, you literally, it's been programmed into you. And I'm also a certified hypnotherapist. So I will tell you that I do have a strong belief that, we are all hypnotized to believe that working a 9 to 5 is the way to do things. But there are so many different ways that you can build an incredible life for yourself. And I hope that after today, you can start to question those limiting beliefs. And so I want to introduce myself in terms of my story. I definitely did not come here with all these beliefs and all this knowledge to the table when I first said yes to my Arbonne business or even before that. I actually come from a very small town of 45,000 people in Cornwall, Ontario in Canada. And I was literally dead broke in my 20s. I was working like a fiend, okay? I worked easily 65 hours a week and would still end up having my bank account in the red. So that famous belief of, oh, we got to work hard for money, you got to work hard for money, you got to work hard for money. I definitely worked hard and I had no money. Okay. So I had a programming about money that was not serving me. And that's really what got me, like, I wanted more out of my life, but I didn't believe it. I honestly, without knowing, I had a subconscious belief that someone like me wasn't meant to have more. And so even if I did more, every time my results would just reaffirm my internal belief. And that's really challenging because most of us don't realize our internal belief systems and our values. And I'm gonna show you guys things on how you can really assess those things. But maybe right now you're listening in and you're like, oh yeah, you're right. I work really hard and I have no money. Like, okay, so that's already an internal programming that you've adapted for yourself. And that's really amazing because the more that you can bring awareness to it, the more that you can start growing in your life into a different direction. And so long story short, I was approached to take a look at the Arbonne business opportunity, and I was a hard no. And again, I was a hard no because I was programmed to think that these things were scary, that being an entrepreneur was scary, that network marketing was not, it was a failing model. I was programmed into all these different fears, so I sat there with judgment. And I will encourage you that any time that you have judgment towards anybody, like I gave you the example that I had judgment towards network marketing, but now I use this tool all the time in my mind, is that if in the past I would have had judgment, but I'm like, oh my God, if that works for them, amazing. Like if that works for someone else, amazing. I'm so happy for them. Learn to pivot the way that you see things and have an open mind. So I have to say that I thank my lucky stars every single day that I was invited to take a look at the business opportunity for probably the 15th time. And I was invited in July, I said no. I went back and I took a look in July. And when I went, it literally like lit a spark in me. And I was like, for the first time, I could see that I wouldn't have to depend on somebody else determining my value, that I had an opportunity that was low cost with unlimited income opportunity that I was able to build. And so I said yes with a lot of fear, but like I had a vision and I got it. And then fear got to me. Like fear got to me like crazy. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about how you can break through the fear. But long story short, here I am standing before you as now having a multi-seven-figure business that generates millions of dollars in sales per year. I've helped many women walk away from their full-time jobs through this business opportunity. I live a deeply fulfilled life. I actually, through this whole process, I became a master certified NLP and subconscious master in the neurolinguistics, which I'm really, really excited to share more about how you can really pivot that. And I realized then and there that my old beliefs about success being luck, it has absolutely nothing to do with luck, you guys. And if you want more out of your life, everything is about your identity. Every single thing. Okay. So how does change really work? Okay. Most people go into change in their lives, okay? And like, I want to hear it in the comments if you've ever done this, right? You're like, okay, January 1st, I am getting in the best shape of my life this year. This is my year, okay? So what do? Where we go directly to the behavior, right? And the environment. So you get a gym membership, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to start working out more. And that might work like with motivation and like determination for maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. And then like, even if you get to week 4, like cracking, like it's like so challenging, right? And so the main reason why motivation doesn't work ever, okay, is because it all comes down to your identity. Purpose is a higher thing, okay? So purpose is the highest level of change, is when you really get ignited with purpose and your life calling, and it's deeply spiritual and it's very in alignment with your spiritual life. And like for me, like when I go out and I put my feet in the grass and I literally pray to God, I really feel my purpose coming through me. But that really shifts when you start to realize what identity you want. So you don't need to be deeply spiritual for this kind of work to actually impact your life. You can start at identity, and if you work on identity, it will trickle through your whole entire life. And then purpose can follow late in years or months to come afterwards, because once you step into that identity. So for someone to have deep change, they have to start asking themselves, who do I want to become? Who do I want to become in this life? And work from identity, values, capabilities, behavior, and then your environment will change. Because for as long as you have a belief and you have an identity about you being overweight and not being like good at working out, or you're not good at building a business, or you're not good in sales, or you're not good, you have low vibration, you're a low energy, I always mess things up, right? You put that as part of your identity. And so, it doesn't matter how hard I work, I never get ahead. It doesn't matter. Like all these kinds of beliefs that we have about our own identity. So start to question, who do you want to become? Not about who you are right now. If you were able to have a blank canvas, which we all have a blank canvas about who we can become in this lifetime, the biggest lie that we were ever told is like, you are the way you are, and what do you want to do about it, right? Like, I like hear this all the time, like especially with older people, like they'll be like, he's like that. You got to deal with them. Until somebody wants change, we can't change anybody. The most powerful thing is that you can change who you are anytime, anytime in your life. And this is really what I became super passionate about for my own transformation when I started to realize this was because for as long as I was building my network marketing business, I was offering everyday people an opportunity to transform their life, and they would get really excited, and then little bit by little bit they would just like get discouraged and stop, right? And the reason for that is that they simply came into a business opportunity that has no limit and literally said yes with the old identity that they will fail at this, with the old identity that they've never done this and they never could do this and da 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 da. So if you're part of this company, or if you're thinking and considering that, what I encourage you to do is to write down, if you could have it in a perfect world over the next 5 years and there was no limit and you didn't have to gauge yourself on the past successes of the company, what would you create? What would you create, and who would you be? How would you show up in rooms? How would your body feel? How would you speak to people? How would you speak to yourself? What kind of parent would you be in this lifetime? How would you handle your money? How would you handle enjoying nights out? Just really getting as deeply personal about the identity that you want to step into. And so the same thing with that person that on January 1st, that's like, I want to get in the best shape of my life. Okay. Well, you got to ask yourself, what is somebody who's in the best shape of their life? What's their belief system and what's their values about food? What's their belief system and their values about working out? What's their capabilities? And, what are they doing? Are they working out 3, 4 times a week? Well, yeah, they work out 3, 4 times a week. What's their beliefs about food? Well, food is code. Food is literally code for the body. Well, I want to nourish my body with the best foods possible because I have the intention of living a long, long, beautiful, healthy life. What is the identity of that person? What's their beliefs about food and working out? And so once you step into that identity and you question that identity consistently, am I acting in coherence with the identity that I am now taking on for myself? You will start to see that your behavior changes. And when your behavior changes, your environment starts to change. And I've lived this personally, and we often call that like a quantum leap. But what it really is that you've changed, you decided to have different outcomes in your life. And so your beliefs and your values change, your capabilities change, your behavior changes. And the biggest challenge that most people have when they decide to take on change is taking on that famous window, but with the environment. Because the environment of who we surround ourselves with, okay, because we become who we surround ourselves with. One of my favorite old mentors that unfortunately passed away, Jim Rohn, used to say you become like the 4 to 5 people you hang out with the most, okay? That is so true. And so the unfortunate part is that when you decide to step into a new identity and you start to take on new capabilities and start to work a business, start to work out more often, start to eat healthier, your environment will question who you are because you're not acting in coherence with the old version of you. The old version of you was maybe sitting around watching Netflix. The new version of you that's an entrepreneur is now investing that time in reading and staying off the television and staying off the scrolling and investing in personal growth, or in investing in doing events to expose their business, or investing their time into working out and cooking healthy meals. I'm just giving you guys examples here. So the biggest challenge that people have in changing is the identity work is simple. You decide who you want to be. Identity is all that follows. The environment from when you decide to when you fully immerse and like plug yourself into your new blueprint is very lonely, because the people who surround you are based on the old programming and the old identity that you had. And when you're stepping into the new version of you, it's going to take a little while for the new people, your new networks to, let's say, to really get on board with, oh, okay, wow, like, oh my God, yeah, she's totally somebody that's into fitness because she knows all this stuff and she's researched it and she does it this and she practices all that. And the same thing with like our environment. So for me, when I first started my network marketing business, I was surrounded with a lot of people who had the belief that working hard is the only way to do things. I had the belief that people had the belief that 9 to 5 was the way to go. I was surrounded with people that had the belief that debt is normal. I was surrounded with people that literally would like survive their week Monday through Friday to then party and sabotage themselves on weekends. And so to transition, when I transitioned into a new identity, those relationships started to slip away, and most people are so scared of that. But the thing is that I didn't; those relationships didn't slip away. I just stepped into a new in a new identity, and it didn't become weekend friends anymore. It became 5 minute friends, summer lunch friends, etc. And now what I'm so excited about is like my identity is so anchored, and the right people started to show up. I started to attract people who aren't like all my friends. I actually relocated countries 3, 4 years ago, and to my surprise now, most of my closest networks are all entrepreneurs or investors. And so that is a reflection of the identity that I have decided to take on. And so you can absolutely transform everything if you do this deep work on what identity do you want to become in this lifetime. So what I've learned about the mind is that not every thought is a suggestion. So people think that because they think something, they think it's truth. Okay. So your subconscious mind is literally being processed through the initial programming that you had from 0 to 7 years old. And then you reinforce programmings by the people you hang out with, what you listen to, what you entertain your mind with. So most of our thoughts are not even ours. And so when you have a thought that comes into your mind, okay, and people go, I was having that conversation with a friend of mine yesterday. I was like, people say, oh, it's so expensive for kids to grow up and to move out now these days. Life costs so much money. I'm like, is that true? Is that really true? Because if we back up 20 years ago, like it's all relative. And that's in my perception and my suggestion. It's all relative. The reason why people are saying life costs so much is because they keep hearing it on the radio and they keep hearing it on the news and they keep being reaffirmed about it. And so what if life is just evolving the way that it's supposed to be? And the same way that life is evolving, your salary is evolving at the same rate. And you start to create that suggestion towards yourself. And so often enough, we are literally, most people that when they say they have a belief, if you ask, why do you believe what you believe? If you can't justify it to the core of your being, why you believe what you believe, it's a borrowed thought. It's a borrowed thought from your parents, your teacher, and the culture around you. That's simply set. Your results mirror your subconscious beliefs. So if you are looking at your life right now, it's based on everything that you believe, everything around you. So if you're not feeling a deep purpose in your life, it's time to reassess. Like where has these beliefs brought you? And that was the same for me. I sat there for 2 years, like laughing about these people that were doing network marketing and building an Arbonne business. But my life was in the red and I was working hard for someone else, not getting ahead. And then all of a sudden I went to a meeting and I'm like, wait a minute. Okay. So these people are actually getting out of the red and working their ways out. And that starts to make a little bit more sense. So, I had to really take a look at the beliefs that I had, how were they really serving my life? And so the same way I told you earlier, when you're about to judge someone, ask yourself, like, if that belief serves them, then, if that's good for them, that's good for but the same thing for you is if I have this belief, how does that belief serve me? How is that belief serving me? And what if I believed something else? And just start to ask yourself some questions, because awareness is really where everything changes. And so my Arbonne business was the catalyst for me rewiring my identity, because Arbonne became literally a playground in my mind for me to grow, to like face rejection, build confidence, and realize like, not everybody's going to be on board with this new identity that I've got going on. And I'm going to have to really stick to my guns about the identity that I'm stepping into. So every time I share the opportunity, I reprogram that I'm not fearful. I have courage. I'm a courageous leader. I'm a confident leader. I love building an Arbonne business. I love growing people. I love leaving people better than I found them, and just reaffirming new beliefs into me. So it really became all about personal growth for me. And so just wrapping this up for me is like, when I became more aware, it's like I started to question, like, who gave me this thought? Who gave me this thought that it has to be hard? Who gave me this thought? And so it started to reaffirm it. So you can reaffirm it with like, I'm a powerful woman creating wealth while helping others. I'm a powerful woman creating wealth while helping others. and then visualizing, working on having a vision board, rewiring how I was doing things. Because if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're going to keep getting the same results. And so if I wanted a different life in 5 years, I needed to start doing something different for me. And so I started to anchor new things like, what would the version of me who already has this life do today? So for example, when I started sharing products or the opportunity and somebody said no, and I would ask myself at the question, if I was making $5,000 of reoccurring income per month with my Arbonne business, how would I react to this? And the more that I asked myself that question, like I actually wouldn't care. Like I really wouldn't care because I'd already be a very abundant person because that 5,000 at the time would have been my target. And so if that gives you ideas, like just start asking yourself, if I was already making 5,000, if I was already making 10,000, if I was already making 20,000, if I was already making 100,000 per month, how would I react to these things happening to me? And you'll notice that the more that you can answer and start acting in alignment with that next version of yourself, the more that you bridge the gap of not treating your business with emotions. You're now treating your business in alignment with your new your new identity. And one of the biggest factors in pivoting the subconscious mind for prosperity is surrounding yourself with people who normalize big success and big moves. Okay? Like being around people who will boldly talk about their vision. Don't talk about your vision and what you're about to do to people who don't know their identity or don't know their purpose. Don't do it. Don't stop doing it now, because if you want to really live a phenomenal life, you got to keep some things to yourself, because for as long as someone doesn't know who they are or what they're for, they will keep diminishing how you want to show up in your life. They're going to diminish how you act. They're going to diminish what you're part of, because what they don't know, they don't have that calling on their soul yet. And so you want to be really mindful about sharing your goals with people who have the same type of intention. Now, for the Arbonne opportunity, I have to tell you, like in my perspective, it's definitely not about products. It's all about transformation. It's a vehicle to literally break a cycle and to build wealth and to step into a new identity. And that's what it's been for me. And that's what I've coached for literally over the last 10 plus years. Because in our community, we mentor, we elevate, we create freedom, and literally we just help people redirect what they were already buying somewhere else. When I left my first meeting, I'm like, okay, wait a minute. I'm already buying skincare. I'm already buying hair care. I'm already buying body care. I'm already buying makeup somewhere else, and I'm supporting some other big box store. I'm going to say yes to this for $65. And instead of supporting those big box stores, I'm going to start shopping in my own store, and I'm going to teach other people how to do the same thing. And that's why, to me, the potential to this is unlimited, and the only thing that limits us is us, okay? Because when you look at how Arbonne's built, it's built out of a network marketing business. And most people don't understand what network marketing is versus traditional, so that's why I'm gonna break it down for you right now. If you buy a product in the stores, you're literally paying all these middlemen, a wholesaler, a warehouse, or an advertising, and a retailer. Those cost millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. So what Arbonne gives an everyday person the opportunity to do is to pay $65 and to have access to the most premium products that you could ever find on the market that eliminate over 2,000 ingredients that could be potentially harmful for your health, that literally are B Corp certified, that leave people better than they found them, leave the planet better than they found them. They plan a tree to counteract the CO2 that's been put out by delivering products. All products are made of recycled and recyclable packaging. Like you can wash yourself in a lake and it will be, it's biodegradable is basically what I mean. And so all those benefits, everything is clinically tested to not only be good for you, but also give you results. And it's been around for 45 years. And the only way Arbonne's been around for 45 years is because it's all word of mouth. Now, the power is in our hands, the consumer. We get to tap into this wealth building program. We get to use the products and share our testimonial. And we get to decide how big of the piece of the pie we want to build. And so that's why if you step into a big, big identity, then you can start to really expand yourself, because there's no limit. Arbonne's never called me and said, Alex, you've helped too many people get healthy and helped too many people start a business this month. They've never done that, and they never will for you either. And so you have that opportunity to build this big, big, big and beautifully. And that's really what Arbonne's been doing for 45 years. And it gives everyday people the opportunity to share and to use products. So small influence, small income, big influence, big income. And that's why it comes down to working on our identity. If we want to have a big income and a big life, we have to work on our identity and our influence in ourselves. And so there's no limit to how big you can build your business. There's 4 levels management. I'll let you take a look at what's on the screen here. You can go see everything that's typical at earnings.arbonne.com. But again, when I started to take a look at the compensation plan, I wanted to ask how much is the most that someone has ever earned in Arbonne? And I started to make that my standard, and it still is my standard to this day. I love the fact that at National Vice President, we start to step into big abundance. There's a trip to Maui every single year. There's an average salary of a CEO income of about $250,000 per year to literally do wellness for a lifestyle. Like, what a gift this is. And so for me, at one point, I decided to step into the identity that I wasn't going to leave that on the table for someone else to grab. I wanted to be in Maui, and I'm going to be in Maui every year. And then I made it a decision. Now it's been 8 years I've been to Maui, paid for by Arbonne. I'm going on my 9th trip this January, and I'm on a mission to bring more people with me than ever before. And I know that Sabrina and Molly, who's collaborating on this call, like, we are all on a mission. Arbonne as a whole is on a mission to bring more national vice presidents to the top. And the only way people can make it to the top is if they reframe their personal identity. So final thoughts, if anything here has spoke to you, you got to trust that nudge. Our intuition speaks to us and it whispers to us. So say yes before you're ready, and your subconscious mind will catch up. When you say yes and you take action, like I thank my lucky stars that I said yes to something that scared me and it brought me in a totally different direction in my life. So on that note, I hope that this blesses you. I hope that you have knowledge that you didn't know for yourself, and that they can really help elevate your life to the next level. So on that note, we'll see you next Wednesday on our Wellness Series. Take care. Bye-bye.